Welcome back to the Result Selling Framework podcast. I'm Keith Marchiano, Senior Executive Coach here at Pax8. I get a lot of confusion from IT service companies around marketing versus prospecting and sales. So, since I'm a baseball guy, I'm going to give you a baseball analogy. In baseball, you never know how good you're going to be until you get live at bats. Practicing is needed, but eventually you need to get into the batter's box and face live pitching. You just can't step into the batter's box and swing at everything. You're going to strike out a lot. So today we're going to touch on all these items to help IT service providers gain traction with their marketing. Marketing's job is to get us those at bats for pitches that we like, our ideal client. Prospecting and sales is to determine what we swing at. So kind of keep those things in mind as we go through this today. I'd like to welcome back James Lavine to the show. James, good to see you, my friend.
Hey, great seeing you too. Thanks for having me back, Keith.
Excellent. Great to have you. Do me a favor. Just if anybody hasn't caught the original Result Selling Framework, the first 8 episodes, and they didn't see you, can you give everybody a little intro about yourself?
I'd love to. Yep, James Lavine. I'm a senior executive coach for Pax8 Academy. And what can I say? I owned my own MSP for 25 years, been in the trenches. I've learned 1,000 ways how not to do something. But I ended up being successful in the end when I exited my business. And now I'm here as a coach to give back and help MSPs grow and be successful in their business. Oh, and I happen to own a marketing company for 12 years simultaneously that I had my MSP. So
You didn't have enough to do.
yeah, got bored. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so James and I both have the scars to prove it around marketing and overspending, underspending in marketing. So hopefully you'll be able to get some great takeaways from here. So pretty much 30 days ago, James, we were at Beyond. That's 30 days from the recording of this episode. I know you worked a lot with the Phoenix peer groups. Any takeaways from that or aha moments the partners experienced?
Oh, there was a lot. I love working with the Phoenix peer groups. I love those guys. They're all MSPs, owners who wear multiple hats, and they're in the grind every single day, just trying to get to that magic million or $1.5 million. And there was a lot of aha.
They're typically, 0 to $1 million, somewhere in that flight plan, right?
Yeah, exactly. When we all get started, it's easy to get a job, get to that 250K mark. I think it's fairly simple. But to actually start growing your team and then think about profitability and the right stack and the offerings and get to that 500K annual recurring revenue, then get to the $1 million and build out a team, that's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of MSPs can't do it. They struggle. And so the Phoenix peer groups, that's what it's designed for. And some of the aha moments that we got from the group were when we brought in more mature MSPs who have already surpassed that. They got to the $1.5 to $2 million mark, and they were able to engage these guys saying, look, you're almost there. Keep going. You're on the right path. Don't look at the bigger companies and try to be like them and invest all your money in these areas. Focus on the things you can do and the basics. A lot of stuff that we cover in the sales coaching and in the result selling framework. It was really quite brilliant. And the impact was so powerful that every single one of the people in the Phoenix peer groups came to me and said that was, of all the things they learned, that was their favorite part, to know that it is attainable. And I loved that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I look back on my career too, and it was challenging during that first. You just don't know what you're getting into. You don't know if you're going to be successful or not, and to start seeing your company grow and you hit that first million, boy, you talk about a celebration there.
Yeah.
So that's great that they, that's a great experience that they got to talk to, like you said, more mature IT companies that have been doing, maybe not doing it. Length doesn't matter, how long. Somebody can get to $1 million pretty quickly if they really focus on it, right? They really want it. I would say that's the key, right? They're going to make it happen.
In fact, there were people in the room, some of the more mature businesses that came in, they had only been in business 3 to 5 years and they were already pushing $2 million. And there are people in the Phoenix groups who've been in for 20 years and they're still 300,000-400,000 K a year. And so it was just encouraging and definitely motivating for them to say, I can do this, and get their mind wrapped around the possibilities of it all.
Yeah, That's awesome. Great feedback. I just wanted that since we were so close to what Beyond was, get feedback from these, these companies that are trying to get, hit that first million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you heard my intro, and look, I'm a baseball guy, and for the people that aren't baseball people out there, from that standpoint, can you give like your version of like difference between marketing and prospecting?
Well, only if I can say play ball, or
Play
batter up, play ball. No, I'm just messing with you. I love your podcast, Keith. So yeah, 100%. You nailed it in the intro. 100%. The marketing is all about getting the leads, getting your up at bats versus actually swinging the bat and taking your shots at it. And we get it all backwards. Everybody wants the easy win, and they want to go throw money at something and outsource it. And magically, hey, if I throw $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 a month at a marketing company, they're going to give me these magic leads, and I'm going to make all this money, and I'm going to grow my business. And they don't want to do the work. And I love how you bring that perfect analogy that, one, there is no magic pill, and two, marketing is just the lead gen side. You better get your house in order and know how to sell before you even think about the marketing piece of this. And that's really the key to all of it is you've got to know how to sell. You've got to know the basics, all the way down to just a simple, your TCP, your target client profile, which I know you talk about a lot, all the way down to dialing in. And I'm sure you got other cool analogies of like how the different type of batting and all that kind of stuff of selling, but really dialing into knowing your craft, learning how to sell as an owner or as a principal or whatever your role is in the company, just really understanding that sales process. So,
yeah, well said. Yeah, we're going to get into, a future podcasts are definitely going to talk on the prospecting side, but you're right. Marketing, I always said sales is about building familiarity and curiosity, right? Especially the curiosity side. Marketing can help us build that familiarity. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So does your marketing, check those boxes off, right?
Yeah.
Does it make you a subject matter expert, right?
Yep.
Does and we'll talk about this too. Does it appeal to the reader of that message, right? We're going to talk about that a little bit down the line. But I would say, from a standpoint, can your marketing create a wedge between your prospect and their current provider because you're an expert in their industry? That TCP is so vital and who the message is geared toward. But both must be TCP to highly focus on it. I taught the partners a lot around having a calendar. Like if they have, let's say they do construction, they do healthcare. Those are the two primary verticals that they work with. I'm like, I want a rinse and repeat marketing calendar. Month 1, focus toward construction. Month 2, healthcare. Month 3, technology, right? Cybersecurity month, business continuity month, whatever. And you're kind of rinsing, repeating on that, so that way you're appealing to the person that's reading the message.
Yeah, I agree with that. But let's go a little bit further down that thinking. So before we even start building out the calendar, what's really critical is that we create this persona-driven avatar. And what I mean by that is you got to know your TCP so well. And then you get to the point where, can I come up with a demographic, maybe a regional area, or a psychographic, their college level, if they're married, not married, what it was like to maybe their possible position, what would be the typical person that I would be selling to that really wants our solutions or needs our solutions, because they're experiencing the same kind of challenges over and over and over as a representative of the whole. And what you end up doing with that is you create this persona, this avatar that represents all of the types of businesses. And then once that's really dialed in, it's almost like you're speaking to them directly. So instead of me trying to do all this content that's generic and out there, it's very specialized and personalized, like me talking to you directly, Keith. I could, since I know you so well, I could talk to you about specific things that I know you're being challenged with. And so when we create this avatar in a marketing standpoint, then it's as if you're in their brain and they actually think, how can this person understand or even know me this well? It's just really crazy. And all your content will be driven towards a single individual, the avatar that represents the whole. And so now it's a very personalized marketing message that reaches out and that helps you generate your leads, right? Based on that TCP. That's kind of when we talk about marketing strategies, that's the key strategy. Then You build out your content building calendar of how are the multiple touches I'm going to find where these people live, or like you like to say, you fish where the fish are, right? And so you build out that marketing calendar to make sure it's in alignment with exactly the avatar built out. Where are they at exactly? Where do they congregate? How can I reach them? And all the different, whether it's event marketing or social media marketing or whatever happens to be. So.
Yep. Yeah. What do they care about? What responsibilities they have in the organization, right? This is that buyer persona, right? Construction companies, that was my industry, and it was typically a director of operation. And you kind of hit on those things that you're talking about. And again, I'll throw out a baseball story again for you. So it's what I know, right? If it's not IT services, I know baseball pretty well.
Play ball.
Play ball. So a good thing, I'm an Orioles fan, right? So over here on my wall is my Cal Ripken wall. I'm a big Orioles fan. We're recording this, right? The Major League Draft is happening. Trade deadline's coming up. If I saw an article about somebody that Orioles drafted, or somebody that, trade rumors that were coming up, or we actually did a trade, and I saw that article come across my website or, my social media feed, I'm going to read it. I'm probably more likely to open it up and look at it because it appeals to me. It's something I like. So if I'm, like you said, that buyer, that persona, if I'm a director of ops of a construction company, what's going to make me open that piece of marketing? If you're talking about technology, most likely not. If you're talking about improving operational efficiencies in a construction company, that's something that a director of ops is looking to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that you made a great point. Nobody really cares about your tools or technology. They just don't care. And definitely don't throw out a name brand of something. They honestly don't care. What they care about is, do you actually understand what challenges I'm being faced in my business? What's going on with me? How does it actually affect me as a human being, right? Because it's still human. And mm-hmm. Can you actually solve these problems for me, right? That's what you should be talking about. Role. Yeah, that's marketing and sales, right? Really diving deep into that and not taking surface answers, but really, really, truly understanding. I like to say, put yourself in the other person's shoes and pretend to be them for a while. What is it like for them at their company? And when they have employees complaining, or when they have all these issues, or their higher ups are breathing down their neck, and they're in this place where they're really feeling the pressure of the issues they're facing. And if you're the answer to that, that's golden, right? That's really the essence of it. And then when you hand it over to sales, you take that lead, we call it a lead, right? And you give it, and the human element kicks into play, saying, yeah, now we're qualifying and investigating and really making sure that there's a good fit here, and then we prove it with our result selling framework, right? We tell the stories,
yep,
we show the results. Yeah.
Yep. Articulate the value. Absolutely. So here's something you hear all the time, right? You mentioned it before, right? Here it comes, what's the magic pill, right? From a standpoint, what should MSPs be focusing on when it comes to marketing? And then two, what should their expectation of from a results standpoint be?
Yeah. I mean, that's if we could all answer this one, we'd all be gajillionaires, right? So let me break this into pieces. If you are a smaller MSP, let's say either you're solo or you've got a couple of employees, you're still really hyper focused on events and things that you can control. You're not dumping a lot of money into marketing. You're not sponsoring things. You got to hold on to your cash. You need to build your cash reserves for your business so you can invest it back into the business, right? Cash is everything, and revenue is what you need, and you need to keep your profitability focused. Do not be expending out on marketing and all the campaigns and all these things that you hear all over the place. You're not ready for that. There is a lot of money waiting to be scooped up with events and basic social media and connecting with people. People. At that level, you should be face-to-face, belly-to-belly, referrals, networking, and really being dialed into people. And you got to make that happen and quit worrying about tech all the time. That's the key at the lower level. And we call it on the streets marketing. It's like guerrilla marketing. It's the basics in place. It's almost like prospecting in some ways, but you're definitely throwing it out there. You're getting referrals. You're talking to people. You're making yourself known. I hate at that level, you don't want to be the best kept secret in town. You got to make sure you've got massive exposure. When I say massive, I mean like 100 times more than you think. 2 or 3 events is not going to make it. Maybe 20 to 30 events will get you at least your name on the map, and it'll explode you out. Get yourself some speaking gigs. Yeah.
Trying to build your resource, people that know you and know what you do and how you help your prospects, right?
Yep.
One of the things that when I get into this marketing versus prospecting or sales is like you're going to get more results out of networking, right? People do business with people. You mentioned that, right? So if they know you personally, and they can either 1, do business with you, or 2, refer you to people that you want to do business with, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If you are a little bit larger MSP, then you might actually have some revenue, right? And I think you want me to answer this question. I'm sure you're going to hit me with it at some point, which is how much money should we put towards marketing, right? What size revenue should you be as a business before you start looking at dumping money into marketing? And the answer is usually around between the $2 to $3 million mark is usually where I say that's when, as an owner, you can't continue to do owner-led selling or principal-led selling. You've got your SMEs, your subject matter experts out selling all the time. But there comes you kind of reach a capacity where you need more leads because you've got a sales team you're starting to build, and you need to keep them actively employed, gainfully employed in front of really qualified leads to keep growing your business. Because now you're starting to build a machine, a juggernaut. You're trying to build this thing and build it and build it. And it's really important that you have the revenue and the resources, but this is really critical. So I'm hoping whoever's listening to this really gets this point. Your gross margin dollars and revenue matter, like that percentage. So you can do a $3 million business, but if your EBITDA is so small that you're not pocketing that extra money, you have no profit, you should not be investing in marketing because you don't have the meat on the bone. You don't have the money to do it. And so you also make sure your pricing is appropriate enough that there's enough profit in your services margin and in your product margin for your cloud services that, we like to say the 50-30 rule, right? 50% services margin, 30% cloud product margin. And that'll give you enough play that you have commission and you have what you need to build out a structure. You can also take a small percentage of that and put it towards a marketing program or a campaign. You may not go a full-blown one yet, but now you can start to get this juggernaut of lead gen going. Maybe hire a marketing manager because you'll have the revenue to do it. And so I'm going to pause there and let you, because I guarantee you probably got some questions on that one for me.
That is amazing. Yes, you're rolling. I was just letting you roll. That's right. So yeah, you hit it on the head. Like, I actually, from a standpoint, there is a way from an MSP perspective where you can start investing in marketing before the 2 million mark. And typically what we're trying to do is, again, attract our ideal client. And so outsourcing to a marketing company is in your interest, but to your point, the profits might not be there until you get to about 2 million. So there's something out there that's called MDF funds. Oh. It's a seldom used, it's a seldom tapped into resource by MSPs. So how can they utilize MDF, and how do they get started with it, right?
Oh yeah, that's brilliant. I'm glad you brought that up, especially if you're you're not as quite mature, you're not there yet. You need a little extra help. There are so many vendors out there that actually have money allocated and set aside, and it doesn't matter what size MSP you are. If you are dedicated towards a specific type of tool set you're using or a vendor, reach out to them and ask them, hey, I'm going to put on this event and I want you to be showcased in this event. We're going to talk about it. We're going to hit these other topics, but I want you to pay for it. And ask them, just reach out and ask them. You'd be surprised how much money they have set aside. It's in the millions of dollars across lots of different partners. So if you need 10, 20, 30,000 for an event, there's a good chance you can actually get that through MDF funds and not pay for it out of your own pocket. Now, granted, you're going to have to come back with a follow-up saying, this is how many people showed up, and you're going to have to do some back-end follow-up. However, it's worth it, right? So you didn't have to expend that cash out of your own pocket in your business. Great point, Keith. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing business with Pax8, talk to your, channel account manager, and ask them, hey, what partners that I use have MDF funds available? It is a incredible way to do it. So it's kind of more in my prospecting conversation, but to your point, doing an event. Like I used to do a lunch and learn at a pretty high-end steakhouse in Baltimore, and I basically did exactly what you said. I had a vendor partner pay for it 100%, and I let them know it's like, here's the expectation of the crowd, here's the ROI that I'm expecting, which will result in X for you, right? What's in it for the vendor needs to be brought in. Again, I love baseball, shocker, but I wasn't even at 2 million yet, and we did daytime skyboxes at Camden Yards for Oriole games. 2 games would have cost me over $15,000. It's the tickets, the food, the beverages, the whole thing. Cost me half. I had the vendor pay for it. So for about $8,000, I got 2 games. I focused on my TCP. I invited my clients, a couple clients, prospects, absolutely. And I brought some referral partners, people that have actually referred me business, give them a little reward, let them network as well. And that's what it was. Before the game started with networking function, we used, that was a good offset of cash, right? I didn't have to outlay that whole thing. That was marketing dollars I saved.
I love it. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, in fact, you just touched on something else. Other ideas for MDF funds, any type of events like that where don't do the typical. Come to a briefing, come to a meeting, blah, blah, blah. Sporting events, hockey, anything to get the person excited. And remember, they're a human being. They're bored too. They need to get out of the office thinking. And it's fun, especially I love what you said, that you already had some existing clients there and you got prospects there, and let them kind of talk to each other, and they sell each other right on the whole thing. And you're just kind of letting the MDF funds pay for half or more of it. And that's brilliant. But on the marketing side, think outside the box. People want to be wowed. They want a different experience. Anything fun, anything where you can connect, anything where you can communicate, anything where you can remind yourself that you're a human being and not an AI. That's the kind of marketing you want to do.
Love it. Great conversation. Got me all jacked up here. This is awesome.
Don't even get me started on AI and marketing, because I was like, I had a whole conversation earlier today about, well, I'm just going to throw money at AI and marketing, and these AI tools are going to do all the work for me. And I'm like, you're kidding, right? Yeah. People are people. AI still cannot figure out who people are. It's like a little baby. It doesn't understand yet. So AI might have some tools, might speed some things up, but it doesn't understand people. We understand people. And that's what marketing and sales both do. It's people oriented. And without that understanding, AI will never be able to get caught up. It might in a couple of generations or a few more iterations, but right now, use the tools to reduce some cost and maybe help you generate some leads and other things, but don't rely on it to help you grow your business. Not at this point. It's just not ready yet.
Yeah, we gave some people some good ideas for some outbound marketing, right? Seminars, lunch and learns, events at your office, right? The skybox thing, steakhouse piece, right? There's also inbound marketing, which is, your website, SEO, blogs, thought leadership, and articles. From a standpoint of, you mentioned it, right? If you're under 2 million, or you're getting some MDF adjustment, maybe you're at a 1.2, 1.5 million, you can start investing in marketing. A lot of IT service providers focus on that inbound marketing of SEO and word searching and Google ads, stuff like that. Talk about that from a standpoint of your experience, especially in the IT services world, and how that could apply. Yeah,
so let's talk about that. And there's a lot of terms in there, right? Search engine marketing, search engine optimization, search box optimization, email marketing. There's a lot on the whole digital side. Table stakes are a good website, right? And the website itself, it doesn't have to be overly elaborate, but it should just give the basics. And we've all heard that a million times of what goes on a website. What should it look like? It definitely has to have how they contact you, your basic services. It doesn't have to be too in depth, because most people don't read that far into it. What they want to know is what the next piece is. In marketing, we have something called a push. We push ourselves into someone's space, or we have a pull. And an example of a pull would be when somebody's my computers aren't working, and they're Googling something. You want to come up in the top of that search engine. That's pulling. You're actually pulling them into your site. You're pulling them in by trying to answer a challenge or an issue or a problem that they're facing. And then what you do, a great tactic, and it's something very simple you can do, is you can go to the search engine box itself, type in a couple of words that you think someone's going to type for your area, and it'll give you strings of all the other types of things that people have already searched for. If you've already have an answer to that, you can generate a document of having problem with your computer rebooting every time you print. Try this, X, Y, Z. Create that as a sub-page that links directly to that, and every time they search that, Google's going to reward you because you gave them an answer to their problem versus trying to sell them something, right? You put out a lot of free information on the pull side, and you're going to start generating leads, and Google will actually reward you for being a good citizen on the internet, basically, right? And then the other side, and that generates leads, and that's table stakes. Like everybody, that's something everyone can do at the lowest possible level. You don't need to hire a professional company. You can just do that on the basics as you're getting started. Just a couple issues here, a couple issues there, things you hear about me. You know, we used to call them FAQs, right? So the top FAQs. Well, guess what? Those should be websites, or you have your main site, and those are sub pages underneath, and answering each one of these questions with how to actually fix it, right? Don't make them call you to fix the issue. Give them the goodies. Like, let them fix their own issue and put it out there. Google will reward you. And then when you get the bigger issues, that's when you want them to call you, right? And so that's called pull marketing. Push marketing is the other side of the coin, where that's where we do display ads, or we put an ad out there, and we're trying to get into their mind space and get them to think a little bit about, oh, I've never thought about cybersecurity and how it would affect my productivity. That's interesting. Maybe I should click on this. And usually the conversion enticement to that is some type of discount versus a pull. There is no conversion enticement. It's the conversion is, I got the answer for you. Click here to download it now and solve your problem. And so really between push and pull, that's the best way to do some type of digital marketing. And that's just through either Google or Facebook ads or link. I'm hesitant to say LinkedIn yet. That one's still in play. You got to be very cautious on the ad side. If you're going to do LinkedIn marketing, that's where you want to do video. You want to do some type of, like we're doing here, where we're talking to each other and let people kind of listen in. And then you can take those transcripts and then create a newsletter and send it out. And there's other ways to build up that referral list. So hopefully that answered your question.
This is fantastic. This is awesome. That was really a lot of knowledge you dropped on people there. And it's, I taught the partners is like, you need to put out thought leadership, blogs and articles about problems you see and solve for your ideal client. You got to create those articles because, like you said, we can create some videos, we can create some articles that then we can then post on, besides our website, we can put it onto our LinkedIn page and share that out on our personal pages too. So that way we are coming across as a industry expert in their industry. Right, and you're attracting them. You're giving them stuff that they would want to read from that standpoint. Yeah. And I'll leave it with this one. This side is that, we're not Nike, we're not Coca-Cola, we're not doing. You're not investing money for brand awareness. You need to be a thought leader, and to your point, that push and pull. It's got to be a little bit of both going on.
Yeah. One last thing. I don't know if it's last, but something that everyone should be doing, and this doesn't matter if you are a solopreneur, MSP, all the way up to something major. You need to have at least three stories on your network, on your website, YouTube channel, or whatever engagement channel you have. And I like to say your origin story. That's who are we? Why did we start this? Why? What was the purpose? Everybody wants to know why we do what we do, right? It kind of that Simon Sinek thing, the heart, the core, the why, and it's a simple story. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Like, we all have a reason why we got in this business, and it's personal to each one of us. Be personal in that origin story and share it. People want to do business with people. Then the second one is your services. Like, this is what makes us distinguished from everybody else. This is what we do, and here's how we do it. And here's how we do it better. This is us, right? So you got your origin story, why. Here's what we do, and the third one is. And this is my favorite. This is that preemptive strike, I like to say, right? Where these are the reasons why, or these are the top questions that people have for us. Here's reasons why you would not want to do business with us, and you just lay it out. So you're filtering right from the get-go. You're not wasting your time or their time. Either they're a right fit or they're not a right fit, and you say it clearly in that video. This is who we work with. This is what we do. Here's why you would not want to work with us. Here's the top, and you go into this little video and explaining that. If you have those 3 core videos on your website, it gets you the why. You get that personal connection. Here's everything we offer. Okay, great. That answers that question. And then here's why. Here's how and why to do business with us or not to do business with us. And a lot of people find that refreshing when nobody wants to be sold, but they like it refreshed. That's not even the right word. They like to feel refreshed, that they're dealing with somebody who has integrity and has some respect for them and says, hey, don't do business with me. I'm probably not the right fit if you're looking for X, Y, and Z. People love that. So that's a nice little
awesome, man.
nugget for you.
You're giving knowledge out to the masses. This is fantastic. So last point, and this doesn't cost you anything. We all know referrals are the best way to get leads and most likely to win new business. You're pretty much in the driver's seat if you get a referral. So What should MSBs be doing to increase the amount of introductions to their ideal prospect and referrals?
Oh my goodness. Wow. There's like so many things. And I know, Keith, you got a bunch on your list too. One, you've got to let people know. First of all, you can't be the best kept secret. I've said that already a couple times. You've got to let your network know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who you're looking for. Then you want to definitely go to the people you do business with, right? You might have an insurance guy and a real estate person and all the different vendors you do business with, and have a sit down with them. Hey, here's who we like to work with, and see if you can feed referrals to them and vice versa. I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of attitude, and always putting yourself out there, always giving and giving and giving, and then reach out to your personal network. Right? A lot of people don't even know what we do. I had a friend who had his MSP for 7 years, and he was struggling to grow his business. And I said, well, did you reach out to your family, your cousins, your friends, your coworkers, former workers? He's like, no. I'm like, what? That's your network, man. It's like these people want to see you succeed. They love you. They want to help you. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them, give them a chance to help you. Everybody wants to help each other. And so, that's what I would say is got to spread the word as quickly as possible, be very clear, succinct, and reach out for help. This isn't a pride thing. This is, you've got a viable service. You're offering solutions. You are here to be an IT hero for somebody. Let people help you find those people.
Absolutely. And look, people have different definitions of the word referral. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up with this. It's like, obviously, if they know somebody that's looking for IT, is struggling with their IT help, obviously that's great. Nice warm referral of somebody that's actually need. The odds of that's very small, right? That they bump into somebody that they know or that's in their network that's looking for IT services. So piggyback on what you said, hey, I'm looking for these industries, James, and I'm looking for an introduction, right? I'm not looking to sell them anything. I want them to know who I am and be a resource for them if and when they ever need me. And I'm looking for these 3 industries. Who do you know that you could introduce me to? And I might need a 5-10 minute meeting tops just to do that. That's going to open up the intros, right? I'd take them, to your point, we got to get people to know who we are. So it doesn't matter where you are from a revenue standpoint. You want to be consistently doing that. So that way that referral engine is rolling, right? People know who you are. Worst case scenario is like you have this 5-10 minute meeting and they say, hey, we're all good to go right now. Oh, okay, no problem. Hey, I sent you a request on LinkedIn for us to connect. Could you accept that request? And when we have different webinars, events, seminars, things like that, would you be okay if we reached out to you to invite you to those? They're not going to say no. They'll be like, sure, because you got vouched for by somebody else that they know.
Yep. That's
going to, hey, and you also valued their time with that 5 or 10 minute promise too.
Huge.
So they're willing to do that. Best case scenario is like, boy, you have a great conversation. 5-10 minutes goes up and you're like, hey, I want to respect your time. I'd like to continue this conversation. Would you? What's your availability over the next couple weeks? I'll either meet you for coffee or come to your office or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Get the conversations going. I love it. James, this is fantastic, my friend. Any last minute, nuggets of goodness, words of advice before we depart for the viewers?
Yeah, actually, one thing came to my mind as you were just talking, Keith. It kind of goes back to the Phoenix day, that when I was with all the Phoenix peer groups. The number one complaint I heard was, I don't have enough time. And I kept saying, look, revenue is the lifeblood of your business. And you can do tech work all day long. But if you have no clients of service, you don't have a business. You'll be out of business. You've got to make the time. You've got to put it on your calendar. I call it sacred time. You've got to make it happen. It is not negotiable. And whether it's the marketing or sales, it's got to be hard calendared. Block it out, whatever you got to do, but it has to be consistent. Like you said that you nailed it. Consistent, and I would even say daily, because it takes a lot of energy to get the momentum going on your side. And it's not going to be easy. You may not get results for a while, but you got to stick with it with tenacity, and never give up and be persistent, and you will get results.
Yeah. If you're putting out good thought content, doing these things, right, it does take time, but the results, the phone ringing, people reaching out, filling out forms on your website, well worth it, right? You're going to start getting the right people. So,
yeah.
James, my friend, thanks for being here again. This was, just a ton of knowledge that you gave everybody. Highly valuable to anybody that just watched this. So thanks again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's always a fun time to get on here and play ball.
Play ball. Sounds a wealth of knowledge that James just gave us. And hopefully you take a few nuggets away from that. You come back, listen to it again, and start implementing some of this stuff that you can really, again, with one key takeaway, get out there, get away from your desk, get in front of people, the people that you want to meet, the people that are doing business with your prospects. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. We all agree on that. So let's make that happen, right? We need to apply that know, like, and trust relationship to our marketing and to our prospect. So why aren't we doing things like that more often? Why, got to roll with that piece, right? We need to humanize it. That was the one thing I really kind of took from James on this, was humanizing marketing and prospecting. So make sure you're kind of implementing that and allocating time to do it consistently. So that's all for today's Result Selling Framework podcast. Next month, we're going to be joined by Connor Geiger. He is with CCSI, an MSP, and his main role is VP of Sales for that company, and he's going to talk to us about prospecting. So this was marketing. We're going to piggyback on this on some prospecting tactics, what works. We're going to get it right from one of your peers in the MSP world. So I hope you join us next time for another episode of Result Selling Framework Podcast. Play ball!
Flowy.
Flowy.
Flowy. Flowy.
We just go with the flow.